Hi, welcome to my video. I'm Jennifer Roberts and you're catching me at True Divine 44. I appreciate you all being here more than you know. Thank you for listening and thank you for the feedback you've been giving me regarding the writing on the walls I've been doing lately. This being another one, I appreciate that feedback greatly. Thank you. So this one is a bit of a change up and it's something that has just kept coming through for me and might just be of interest for you to listen to. It might just get you thinking about your ancestors and about some things that are waiting to come through for you. The energy is weird. You know, there's this floaty energy. I've been gardening deliberately more so than other times because the need to ground this energy, this floaty energetic force that I get, and I do get it often. When I use it in a ritual in magic, super powerful, but I'm using it up. When it's just storing up and building up and building up, it gets you to the point where you feel like you're in this floating experience. Those energy doorways, portals, whatever it is, frequency measurements, whatever definition you want to give them, they're rife right now. They're alive. Things are dancing right now, and things are being opened up. One, I feel physically in a manufactured way, and two, but can we say that because if they have the wares, they have the wherewithal and the means that they've made sure that we haven't, can use a level of science definitions and equations to affect energy portals, energy doorways, then, you know, is it fake? No, it's there. It's just they know the key to turn to get it there. But anyway, we're all feeling it, or many of us are, I must say, instead of all. So I want to speak about, I grew up knowing that my granddad was by my side in life, in this life, and in his next life, in his passing, in his transition through to the next. He's always been there. And I always felt these other, you know, three other men in particular, that I recognized them as family because we do have very strong familial facial features. Going throughout both sides of the family, both in my granny's side and granddad's side. And so this is on my granny's side, and it came with all different various confirmations that kept coming up throughout my life as a young girl, young adult, regarding these men watching over me and being proud, and, you know, they made of their, you know, DNA, made of their kind of grit, that kind of thing. I'll not bore you with the specific story after story. And in discussion with my mom and describing them, she realized that I was talking about family members that she grew up hearing stories about, and that being one of them, Sir James Knott, the other his sons. And recently, it's been coming up so much lately, and even Knott, Knott, being very descriptive of the knowings I've been having regarding knots, finding that fabulous pravim. Like Jack said, you know, the seven Boma, they confirm these things in a fabulous way. And so from various different, as universal energies do to me, it's how I use my psychic abilities. I get a knowing and then all of a sudden invite the information to come to me, and it happens. And so even this knot be coming up and his life being representative of his success, being his success in knotting, in knots, is really interesting to me. So it's a bit different. Hang about if you're interested to hear about it. If not, no offense taken. But here we go. I'm going to speak about them because they've been really prevalent just with me lately. And so, oh no, I don't want to do that. Cancel. That one, share screen. I want to share screen. That's what I want to do. Just so you can follow through without just having to stare at me reading to you. So this chair. So James Knott. James Knott was born on the 31st of January 1855 at Howden on Tyne. He was the eldest of 10 children. His father, Matthew, was a customs searcher, and his mother's name was Margaret, which obviously got passed down the family because my granny was also Margaret, means pearl, as she reminded me often because of her beautiful pearly skin, which she kissed all the time. He was educated at the Scotch School in North Shields, minutes away from where I am now. He left at the age of 14. He had other family in the area, including an uncle who worked in Howden Rope Works, and another who was the only chemist and druggist in Willington Quay, which would have been a big deal. At the age of 14, James Knott found a job as an office boy in a shipbroker's office in Newcastle Quayside, which is where I live. At the age of 19, he started, I've got a typo there, he started as a shipbroker, reputably borrowing the sum of £500, part of which would have been huge then, part of which he used to purchase an old collier brig called the Pearl for 186. Now, my mum filled in the blanks of her growing up knowing this story because, again, Margaret means pearl. And the fact that he bought it and it was named Pearl, that was one of the reasons in the family that he took a chance on this old broken up ship, because it was Pearl, and he said it would bring him success. It was the name that he knew he needed to be attached to. Did he know why then? I don't know. Or were there other Margarets in the family that he recognised that will bring me success with? Sir James Knott has been described as a strong, genial, vigorous, enthusiastic, and courageous man. He was noted to have a retentive memory, which William has. William has a photographic memory. Now, the family stories are of that. My mum would always say William reminds her of the stories she grew up with regarding this uncle and regarding the fact that he had a photographic memory, and William is the same. If you ever need to know your Wi-Fi password, show him it once and he'll tell you 2 years later exactly what it is, no matter how long it is. It's crazy. And to be very observant. He was a regular attender at church, and an ardent conservative. In the 1906 election, he stood unsuccessfully as a Conservative candidate for Tyneside Division, again, right where I am, of Northumberland. In 1910 election, he became Conservative MP for Sunderland, which is just a small drive away from me, but retired in December 1910, only after a few months in office. Now, the family stories are that he couldn't stand the two-faced and not getting anything done type of work ethic that was there within Parliament. Now, I feel that energetically for him, and I feel that has come through the blood to me a lot, as anybody knowing me and following me for a while will know that I do not suffer the fools within Parliament, and neither did my granddad, funnily enough, on my mum's father's side. Which is strange how the two families with very alike characteristics have come together regularly throughout the generations. Where was I at? He was a barrister, which is a big deal. He left school age 14 and has worked his way up to being an MP and already been a barrister. Called to the bar at Gray's Inn in 1889. He practiced for about 4 years before returning to his first love, shipping. He was also a JP for Northumberland. In 1914, he held a commission in the Royal Navy Reserve, but was never called up, as his shipping expertise was so important to the war effort. So they would rather use him in the shipping to get food and stuff and weapons and things back and forth than, actually within the fight. He was a keen gardener and enjoyed deep sea and cobble fishing, which has come through Abby big style. The sea is her home. Rivers, lakes, water. She has Pisces and dams. She just loves the water. In later years, he enjoyed sailing his private yacht around the Mediterranean. It was during a temporary absence of the Berwicks when the late Sir James Knott became associated with Close House, which is right by me, very affluent house that is now used for a golfing thing. So James took a lease out on the estate for 5 years in November 1909, which is a big deal and shows the amount of money that he'd managed to make from his first pearl. This was later extended for a further period of 15 years to expire in 1929. He was created a baronet of Close House, which is a big deal, in 1917. His coat of arms bore the words "Facta non verba," which translates to "deeds, not words," which my mum laughs at because she said that is absolutely the stories that she was told as a girl growing up, that it's in the actions that you make. No more words, no more talking, take some action too. And so that I giggle at that because that really resonates with me. He was a Knight of Grace of the Order of St. John of Jerusalem in England. Very big deal to be knighted in that way, which I'm going to dig into deeper. In 1878, Sir James married his first wife, Margaret Annie. Again, that name, Margaret the Pearl. It's as if also having Margaret in his family still already before he bought his first ship, the Pearl, the Margaret. He's gone and married somebody called Margaret. Margaret Annie, the daughter of Reverend Thomas Gobber. And they had 3 sons. Thomas Gobber Knott, born 14th of July, 1879, died 1949. Major James Leadbitter Knott, DSO, born 2nd of December 1882, killed 1st of July 1916. Captain Henry Basil Knott, born 5th of February 1891, killed 7th of September, 1915. The 2 younger sons were buried side by side in the Reservoir Cemetery of Ypres. Apparently, this is quite unusual, as tradition dictated that British servicemen were traditionally buried where they died, especially during those wars. And Sir James must have exerted considerable pressure to ensure the sons be buried side by side. Both graves carry the same inscription: "Devoted in life, in death not divided." Now, my mom filled me in, and also the Sir James Knott Foundation, the trust that is still going on today, that this great uncle of mine still had made provisions with different leases that we'll go into, a 999-year provision for a class of British cattle that was very rare, that they may roam a big aspect of Northumberland freely without interference for all of those years, and still sends out millions each year to various charities. And so the war hit him. My mom said they were brokenhearted. It was a scar on the family that kept getting passed down in the stories of these sons, all of them dying without children, although that's questionable with one of them who was a bit more of a party animal than the others. And the fact that actually he twisted people's arms, he did things he shouldn't have done. He, metaphorically put guns to heads to make sure that his sons, who've been let down so much in the war effort and the convolution and corruption of that war, the First World War, made sure that they were buried together. And so I'm going to take the boys and Abigail around, and my mum, of course, to actually visit some of these places, to feel the energy and see these headstones and make sure we adorn them nicely. These people were really well thought of wherever they went, real humanitarians. And so it would be very interesting to follow the track, particularly around the Mediterranean. And so when my mom was working one of the days, this is the St. George's Church Ypres that he had built, or he had a part aspect of the steeple built to commemorate his sons and it is beautiful. And what's this one? Inside the tower of St. George's Church, Ypres. This is in dedication to who is my uncle, Sir James, great uncle, Sir James Knott. To the glory of God and in memory of his two sons killed in action, Major James Leadbeater Knott, DSO, 10 West Yorkshire Regiment, sorry, that is, I couldn't see for the light on the picture. Captain Henry Basil Knott, 9th Northumberland Fusiliers. This tower was given by Sir James Knott, all of his numbers and letters. This tower was consecrated in November, 11th of November, 1997, which isn't that long ago. Interesting. So at various times, the family rented property in the Newcastle area, right where I am, including the Manor House at Jesmond, very affluent, lovely area and house, and also held the shooting rights at Minister Acres at Rodham Hall, which would have been a very big deal. In 1906, they moved from Jesmond to Close House, again, very close, and I've been there, I've walked around there. This was leased from the Buick family initially for a period of 5 years, but later extended up to the period when Sir James Knott moved to Jersey in 1928 to sail the Mediterranean. In 1925, the family moved to Sir Mayor's Manor on the island of Jersey. Lady Margaret Annie Knott died. And apparently the family story again is that he was just heartbroken, that he loved his wife dearly, and they've had great reverence for one another, and had been a very successful philanthropic couple. Just after their golden wedding anniversary, so they've been married a long time, I think it's the golden 50 years, on board their yacht in Cannes. So we're very affluent. On March the 8th, 1929, at the age of 74. So for that time, she was living a long life, but apparently she was very healthy. Sir James did remarry in 1932 at Monte Carlo to Miss Elizabeth Christie Gauntlet. The 25-year-old, a bit of a player, daughter of Colonel V.C. Gauntlet, and his second wife died then, Elizabeth died on the 23rd of November, 1998. Not that long ago in the grand scheme of things. That's crazy, isn't it? Weird. Sir James Knott died on the 8th of June, 1934, in Jersey. His funeral was held in Jersey on the 12th of June, with a memorial service being held at St Andrew's Parish Church in Hedden on the same day. Hedden on the Wall, Hedden very close to me. So he was of such importance that, and even though he was living in Jersey in his yacht, he had made such an impression on this country, and wherever he went, basically, so the family stories go, that, you know, they would even do that memorial service sort of remotely, all the way over here when he was having his service done in Jersey. Sir James Knott left the bulk of his 5 million estate to form the Sir James Knott Trust Fund. His second wife was granted an annual entitlement of £15,000 until such a time as she remarried, as she did in 1943, when the sum was reduced to £10,000 per annum. A question was asked to the House of Commons, that's in Parliament, on the 27th of June 1934, concerning the estate of Sir James Knott and the fact that it avoided paying 500 million in death duties. Is that million? Is it million? I think so. As he was no longer a UK resident. Now, the family stories go that he played them at their own game and played them at their own rules, but it was only when he died that they were brave enough to even bring this up in the House of Commons. And of course, the family stories go that they got nowhere. Sir Garbo Knott, who inherited his father's title in 1934, it's one of his sons, lived at a property called Cortlands near Exmouth in Devon. Here he raised Jersey cows, and he was a keen pigeon fancier. Although he married twice, he died without issue, which means he died without children. I think that is the one, but I'd have to ask my mum to think that would be questionable, as there was a bit of a party atmosphere around him. St Mary's Manor is located on the island of Jersey and dates back to at least the 12th century. So James purchased St Mary's Manor in 1924. This is where I want to go and visit, and retired there. He was responsible for the refurbishment of the property, reputably spending around 50,000 on the gardens alone between 1925 and his death in 1934. St Mary's Manor, which is open to the public, belongs to the Obbard family after Lady Elizabeth Knott married her Commander Edward Owen Obbard. So it's been passed down through remarriage to another family, which seemed to have taken care of it beautifully, obviously. So this is the manor here, beautiful. And the gardens, I mean, it's beautiful. This is Sir James Knott here. Is it gonna let me? No, there we go. I feel just psychically he knew a lot more about, and the things have been fed through information psychically, the secret societies than others knew. But of course, that's the whole point. So I'll be digging into that further. And this is his second wife, the former Lady Elizabeth Knott. Yeah. Business interest. From the single collier brick purchased in 1869, James Knott built up to over 20 collier brigs, all plying their trade along the east coast, managed from an office in Milburn House, which is right where I am, Newcastle. James Knott had a vision, and he was quick to see the possibilities of changing technical developments in the shipping industry, in particular the value of steam. In 1881, he purchased his first steamship, the Saxon Prince, which was 832 tons gross, 530 tons net. By 1883, he added a further 8 steamships, and by 1886, he had a total of 17. That number 17, as you know, anybody followed me for a while, has kept coming up in various different ways, good and bad, and purchased his first tanker. In 1895, he set up the Prince Line Limited, which went on to build up to be the third largest privately owned shipping line in the world. In 1897, he formed the Prince Steamship Association. By 1898, he had a fleet of 35 vessels and was trading all over the world. This increased to 45 vessels by 1914, and this makes me proud. And I think this is something for all of us right now, that we're going through a lot of changes. And you know, I'm no shrinking violet, and I do I'll speak out against the people who are in charge predominantly of those changes, just because they've monopolized everything and kept our knowledge back from us in a way that we haven't been able to join in a way that we could affect the same change. So I feel that this is inspirational story for us to say. Don't write out the changes in technology. The internet, yes, it has brought in things that I feel a lot of us are unable, incapable, and baby, and would find it difficult to understand. I feel, as does Wayne, that it opened doors and portals and merged timelines in ways that are difficult for anyone to understand, but definitely the many to understand. But if we had been on board more, if we'd been more switched on, and yes, that takes a bit more of a fight from us because so much has been withheld from us, then we would be a part of how the internet is used and channeled, and what is harvested from it and what is not. Now, the STEAM thing, he was very forward thinking. Everybody from the Knott Foundation to my mom has said that, you know, he was very forward thinking and very enthusiastic and didn't take no for an answer in Parliament or in business. And he saw the fact that, you know, coal always being an issue, oil always being an issue, whatever generation you're born in, there's an issue with those things, mainly because of who's in control of it. So he went around it with the steam. Steam is coming back, I feel, and that's another synchronicity to pull from this sort of talk today, in that steam is coming back. I feel he knew this and knows this, that the ancient ones felt and knew steam, just like they knew all of the other elements so well, that they used steam to propel things in ways that we wouldn't think steam was capable of doing. I've seen this in visions, I've felt this, and I feel this through him. And so whereas it's nerve-wracking, frustrating because of those who are in power of the transition, the birth that we're going through, that's where we have to think big. This is a boy from the Northeast who left school at the age of 14. Most of his teachers, though he was a character well loved, apparently would have not believed or let him believe, if he'd spoken out about it too much, that he would be the third biggest ship owner before he'd even broken a sweat into old age. That he would be, you know, going around in his yacht and making sure cattle had a 999-year privilege to land that is renewable. He wouldn't have dreamt that. So think big, get enthusiastic, and don't take no for an answer. What I feel from him most of all was that he did not allow himself to be indoctrinated, that anybody was allowed to be in control of him. And that, you know, I think he believed very much in government. He believed very much in the church, but you know, I think he believed in it as a system that works, not as a corrupt system that is manipulated and controlled by a few to feed a few, and hurt the many. So where was I? Throughout that time, he was in the shipping business. So James had 32 ships built in Tyne and Wear shipyards, which is right by me. I've been down there to have a look. I'm going to do some videos out and about. Great to get past 1,000 subscribers so I can go live, going out and about to these different places. But it'll be interesting nonetheless. Primarily by short bros. All the ships carried the following warning inscribed on their bridges: all accidents are the result of carelessness. And that was apparently the type of man he was. Very dogmatic, very, you know, is what it is kind of character. You know, yeah, you've hurt your hand, that's terrible. Did you actually follow all the safety precautions, or did you just want to get it done quick? Just wanted to get it done quick. Well, now you've hurt your hand. That kind of thing I hear and feel from him. In 1916, the Prince line was sold to the Finesse Withy Company for $3 million. In all, there were 4 ships with the same name of Saxon princes. The original was commissioned in 1881 and was launched in March at Swan Hunter's Yard, right by me in Wallsend. It was sold in 1885 to Christian Salveson and Co. Limited and at Leith, and was renamed, Glitra, funny name. It was the first ship to be sunk by a submarine U-17 in the First World War off the coast of Norway on the 20th of October 1914. The second cost 35,893 when built by Shorts in July 1899. She was captured by the German raider Maui in February 1916 and sunk by bombs. The third was owned by the Prince Line from 1917 to 1928. She was torpedoed in 1942. The fourth was owned by the Prince Line from 1917 to 1975 and was still in service by 1988. Good for her. Apart from shipping, Sir James had other business interests. In 1899, he purchased Todgson Colliery and formed the Acclington Coal Company Limited, which was later taken over by Broomhill Colliery Limited. He also had interests in anthracite mines, called the South Wales Primrose Coal Company. So basically, the family stories are that he was very forward thinking, and the different ways to use steam and coal combined together, and to the different things you could do with energy, and to get around the fact of not liking anybody to be in control of anything that he wanted or planned to do. That was just against all of his nature. So buying into those things made sense. The gifts and donations, the Knott family were great benefactors to the northeast, and in particular to the village of Hedden on the Wall, which is right where our horses were kept, where they had major influence on the village as we know it today. The Knott family were responsible for creating the Memorial Park in Hedden. I'll take you there via my phone, opened in 1925, in memory of the two sons who were both killed in action in the Great War. Major James Leadbeater Knott, DSO of the West Yorkshire Regiment, and Captain Henry Basil Knott of the Northumberland Fusiliers. The Knott family also gave to the village of Hedden on the Wall the Knott Memorial Hall, erected in 1936 in memory of Sir James and Lady Margaret Annie Knott by their son, Sir Garbo Knott. The Knott family have also been responsible for many other charitable works in the Northeast, including, but not exclusive, as I know from family stories, James Knott Youth Centre, which opened in North Shields in 1938, provided the site and generous contribution to the building costs. Donation to the Northern Counties Orphanage. You know, after the war, so many children without parents, it's so sad. And the war really, from familial stories, really impacted this couple, him and his first wife, the loss, the tragedy, and of course, losing two of their sons in that war too. Hit them like bricks. And instead of, again, and this is an inspirational story for today, instead of sitting back and wallowing in pity and in grief, going through the grief process, but ultimately coming out and finding ways to make it better, finding ways to bring light to it, finding ways to do something, was his way, absolutely, and seemingly is both of his wives' way. Donating to the section of the Roman Wall in Hedden, which is right by me, I'll take you there too, to the Society of Antiquaries of Newcastle, nursery school in North Shields, convalescent hospice for officers in Torquay during World War I, again, very important to them, provision of Mercy Buku Cottage, for the use of wives and mothers visiting wounded soldiers, convalescent at Helen Hall, in use as a military hospital. The RNLI lifeboat, Sir James Knott, colour coats, donated heavily to there, again, shipping, water being his thing. An interest in Newcastle, in Tynemouth Victoria Jubilee Infirmary. The Knott Flats Timeout. Now I'll take you to see these one day too. The Knott Flats he had built for people who did not have homes, for the soldiers after World War One, and they still stand today, which is fabulous. The donation to Hague Homes to build 25 houses for Newcastle ex-servicemen and their families. Again, you wonder what the governments were doing, but you know, there they are, there's the Knott Flats. And at the time they were built, my mum said he didn't want to make them look prison-like. He wanted them to have balconies. He wanted to be able to fit plenty in, obviously, but they had to have the tower and a clock on the tower, and you know, certain things he wanted added to them, and made sure that they were added. So, and they overlook the sea, of course. So you can see here, these are them here. So they overlook the sea because it's in the familial stories that he would say the sea heals everything, which isn't untrue. It is suggested that when the plans were being made to erect the Knott Memorial Hall in Hedden, 3 alternate sets of plans were drawn up. One of the sets not used in Hedden was used to build the church hall in Fenham. Now I'll take you there because this is a church again that he donated to Park Building, and they've actually got a memorial stained glass window of him and his sons up in that church. And I'll go in it just for you to see that. Come back out pretty quick, but you know, I'll go in it just to do that. As Sir James was responsible for establishing the Sir James Knott Trust, which is responsible for making payments to registered charities, currently around £1 million each year, funded from investment income. The trust was originally administered from Jersey, but has more recently moved to Newcastle, and that's who I've been in touch with, and thank you to them for the information they've given me too. The aim of the trust is to help improve the conditions of people living and working in the northeast of England. The trustees try to follow the wishes and interests of the trust's founder, where this is compatible with the present day needs of the northeast. Today, Sir James Knott Trust funds the College Valley Estates, which owns the College Valley, a beautiful and remote area of North Northumberland. I have to go there too. In 1980, together with the Duke of Northumberland, the trust bought Chillingham Park, which includes the land on which Chillingham herd wild of white cattle are kept. And we'll have to go there. I'll take you there. Interesting to look into Chillingham more as well too. That it's very spiritual. There's a lot of history there. It was then managed by the Knott Trust's agents, College Valley Estates, who granted a 999-year lease of the park to the Chillingham Wild Cattle Association. After the fundraising campaign in 2005, the association purchased the park and surrounding woodlands. Thus, the herd and park were reunited under the same ownership. And this was very important to the conservation of that cattle. Now I'm going to read you something, I'm going to attempt to anyway, that is really moving regarding a letter from his son, from Major James Knott, one of his sons who died in the First World War. Major James Knott, DSO, to his parents, dated the 1st of July 1916. My dearest father and mother, they were very close apparently. If you're reading this letter, it means that this war has demanded the extreme sacrifice from me. And my object in writing is to bring you as far as I can some measure of consolation and courage and patience to bear your sorrow. It is not in any sense a message from the grave, because wherever I may or may not doubt, I have a complete faith in the life eternal. I know that I will be with you when you are reading this, And I want you to realize and always remember that though Providence has decided that I may not return to you in the flesh, that I shall always be with you in the spirit, sharing your joys and your sorrows. I feel compelled by the knowledge of both of you to write this because my own great anxiety at present is the thought of your grief and the possibility of your collapse if I follow pomp. Momentous events are looming up, and I have a premonition that I may not return to you. I have been dreaming of Basil recently, his brother, and I have an indistinct recollection of a letter in Basil's handwriting dated June 1916, which I feel is his warning and message. If I am correct, then you will both know Basil and I are happy. I hope and desire above all things that you will not unduly grieve. You must not think harshly of me for refusing to accept safe employment, even if my action results in my death and your sorrow. We have all to show courage. Those out here in facing the music and taking what comes in a stoic manner. Those at home facing the loneliness that must follow the casualties of severe fighting. I do want you to know and to realize how deeply and wholeheartedly I have appreciated and loved you, both for your unselfish devotion and all forgiving love. My life has been one uninterrupted period of all that a man could wish for or desire. If I die now, I am content to do so. Life is sweet and holds out all that a young man could desire: power, wealth, and above all, great love. But I want you to know that I face the future fearlessly, and that I was cheerful and satisfied. My medals are yours, but I should like them destroyed when you both join me, whenever that might be. Always remember that I am relying upon you both to be good, brave parents, and that I can only be really happy in a new life if I know and I can see that you are happy too. My clothes, furniture, and motor car must all be immediately disposed of. Everything which reminds you of my death must be removed. This is my urgent desire and wish. God grant that you will be given health, strength, and happiness for many years. Your devoted son, Jim, which is a shortening for James. Wow. Wow. Now, he's writing this. He's writing this before they go and face battle, in the Battle of Somme. There's a knowing and familial stories that this man was so dynamic. They'd been to Eton College, three of his sons, sorry. And that he was so heroic and so dynamic and forward thinking that they'd offered him a seat to come away from that battle, a seat in Parliament, to sit in Parliament. And his words were, I will not sit there and be doing nothing while there is so much here to be done and my men are here doing it, or something along those lines. He was not going to leave his men to face that battle where they pretty much knew they were going to walk to their death. They took fire of hundreds upon hundreds of bullets from all angles. as they were trapped during the Battle of Somme. And I'm going to go on different videos to look at all three of the sons because I find it interesting. And this is my way of just documenting it and following a story and hopefully doing some out and about stuff to go and see these different places to put the story together. But this is around me now, I can feel it. And this is why we have to be, don't have to be, but this is why I have a desire to make an impact, one way or another, for good in people's lives. Because it may as well not waste the impact. So if I can have an impact and it be good in people's lives, then that's how I think. And it's heavy, but good. That there's a reason that I can be reading this letter right now. This aspect of my family, of my heritage, of my ancestry made history enough to be documented, to be defined, to be measured. And that is a good thing about being defined and documented and measured, but knowing your ancestry, to know that I can add to certain stories of that because my mother could add to certain stories that are documented facts. To knowing your ancestry, to make an impact enough that this kind of information has transcended all times. I'm reading a letter that I can feel one of my ancestors has held a pen and channeled his bravery to give his parents commands, knowing his parents so well, knowing his parents were always devoted, devoted, loving, adoring parents. Knowing that he was going to walk into battle, knowing that he wasn't going to come back, but having the wherewithal to know that how stricken they would be with grief. And apparently they were, they never recovered from it. Is potent, it's powerful. And so, that's why it's important that we stay connected and make a present impact. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you appreciated that. This energy is deep right now, but good, real good, learning the origins more and more. And I'm glad you're here with me to do so also. But thank you to my ancestors. Thank you to your ancestors. We give reverence and recognition. And it's about time we stop denying the spirit world in its reality quite so much and being able to use it for good in our lives and others. Much love, balance, and wholeness always. Mwah.